Forget everything you think you know about modern performance cars, because today I'm going to prove to you why my 15-year-old Mk6 Golf R is not only still relevant in 2025, it's still actually one of the much better choices than the majority of new cars these days. Hello and welcome again to my channel, That Shift Happens. Now if you are new here, if you'd like to hit that subscribe button, please go and check out the rest of my content before you do. I do a mixture of things. Mainly this channel was going to just be automotive based, but I've kind of switched things up lately to talking about more real life subjects, just getting a bit of a feel for what you guys like to see. So yeah, if you like what I do, hit the subscribe button, and as usual, let's get into it. So the main question that I do always get is, why on earth would you get a 15-year-old car? And my answer to that is, it's rare to get an older car that still looks so aesthetically pleasing in the modern day as this one does. I talk a lot about the OEM look of this car and how I really love it. Like, it's rare for me to actually like a car that's basically stock. Everything just down to the alloys and just the general look of the car. I'm obsessed with the back end of it, the exhaust, just everything. The more and more I drive it, the more obsessed I become with it, and yeah, it really is such a joy to drive. I think this car has the perfect blend of sporty aggression and then daily drivability. Just the way it looks, it's just perfect. Since I got the car, I didn't quite realise actually how loved the Mk6 still was. I thought I was going to get the car and a lot of people were going to say, you should have got the Mk6. I mean, people did tell me I should have got the Mk7, and that's fine. But I feel like the Mk7 is a beautiful car. It is lovely. If I could have both, I probably would. But what I don't like about the Mk7 is that it's just something you see a lot. If I ever go on a long journey, where did I go? I went to Weston-super-Mare the other weekend, and I honestly, in the first 5-10 minutes, I remember actually saying out loud, I have seen so many Mk7s, whether that's the Golf R or the GTI, they're just, for me, they're just far too common. Now, that doesn't take away how nice the car is, how good the car is. It's not that at all. I'm not saying that the car is no good. I love having a car that someone sees it, and, you know, if you're into cars, you know that feeling when you see a rare car and you're like, oh wow, it's one of those. So actually, funnily enough, on that same journey, on the way to Weston-super-Mare, I saw in my mirror, and it made me like stop for a minute, because it's just so rare that I see these. But there was a grey Mk6 Golf R coming up behind me, and it put a massive smile on my face, and I was like, how often do we see these cars on the road? I actually don't see them often. And yeah, it was great to see another one. He went past, we smiled at each other. Great. So yes, the Mk6 shape as a whole, I absolutely love. I think it is the best shape that they've done. The Mk8s, I'm a bit down the middle with them. I don't like how advanced it all is inside. I don't like how everything's touchscreen. You know, bring back buttons. We love buttons. Well, I do. So yeah, the Mk8 as a whole, I do like the shape of them. They look very smart, especially the Mk8 GTI. I am a massive fan of those, and I have seen some Mk8 Golf Rs, slightly modified, and yep, I can see why people like them. But again, for me, it's just not my taste. So the Mk6 for me is just perfect. Another thing I must mention is how tunable these cars are. The EA113 engine, I've heard nothing but good things when it comes to tuning these cars. It has to be done right, of course. Don't get me wrong, there's been some questionable tunes out there. But yeah, tuning these cars is definitely a must, because there's so much potential with them. I mean, mine just being a stage 1, I feel like the power is just insane, and that's just for a stage 1. If you were to go stage 2, stage 3 plus, it would be an absolute rocket. So yeah, the tunable potential with these engines is unbeatable. Now this will be a bit of a diverse topic, but the DSG. I will admit, and I will put my hands up, I prefer DSG to manual. Do not hate me, all the car people out there that go, oh, typical, what a lazy driver. No. DSG does not make you a lazy driver. It is actually a very fun way of driving. I've had DSG for the last 2 cars, thoroughly enjoyed it. I would never go back to manual again. I think there are certain cars you should have as a manual, but DSG all the way. I absolutely love it. The DSG shift noises is just something that puts a smile on my face. So yeah, don't hate me. DSG over manual, obviously, that is open to discussion. But yeah, it's just you find that even like going back to remapping these cars, you tune the gearbox, and it's just such, I mean, even on this car, being an older car, the shifts are so like snappy. It's so smooth. It's actually a much smoother journey. It's a much smoother drive, should I say, than my Scirocco, and that was a 2016. Now, whether there's a difference, I mean, this car was tuned at R-Tech Performance. My Scirocco was tuned by someone that I knew years ago, who literally downloaded it to the car off his laptop. So obviously there's a difference there. So I can't really say that, you know, the older car is better than the newer car. It's down to who tunes it, basically, and the quality of the tune and how well it's done, if it's done properly. But I was amazed with how spot on the shifts are. There's no delay. The car does not hesitate. It is just snap. Gear changes, smooth. And while we're on the topic of power, the all-wheel drive system just grips to the tarmac. It's the most safest I've ever felt driving a car. If you put your foot down, you feel like you're in complete control. You don't feel like you're going to go off into a field somewhere. So I'd definitely say that compared to my last car being front-wheel drive, it's much better. It's a much better driving experience. And also, the fact that it grips means that when I put my foot down, I'm not waiting 3 to 5 working days for the car to actually react to what I've done. You know, you put your foot down and the power is there. So overall, the all-wheel drive, excellent. Now let's get into the interior. So I've said my opinions on the interior before. I do think it's quite dated. However, I do love that it's more analog and not digital. You've got actual gauges. You've got your buttons. You know, we're not relying on touchscreen anymore. It's got too advanced, I would say. So if something goes wrong, let's say you've got this unit in the middle, it's just a big screen and you control everything from it. You've got your aircon, your radio, or whatever you listen to, all the control on your screen. If that screen goes wrong for whatever reason, there's a technical fault with it that needs repairing, you've lost complete control of everything. Now, you don't want to be in a heat wave in your car and the electrics go wrong and you have no aircon. Having it all linked like that in one place, I don't particularly like, and I think it's quite a silly design. So to be able to get in my car and see all the buttons fills me with joy. Even when I upgrade my head unit, it's still going to look OEM. It's not going to be just a screen that you press the different touchscreen options. It's actually going to still have buttons and it will still look a part of the Mark 6's original design. The Mark 6, it has, and this isn't actually just about the Mark 6. Many older cars, they have just enough tech to get by. You might have, some don't have Bluetooth, but it's easy, you can easily get around that. Bought a Bluetooth module for less than £10 off eBay, and now I can use Bluetooth in my car temporarily until I get an upgraded head unit. But yeah, you're not overwhelmed with technology. You're not overwhelmed with all these screens and all this, everything popping up on the screens when you're driving along. Yeah, I think it has become very overwhelming, the technology in cars these days. You know, you need a car just to get from A to B. You don't need it to do all this fancy stuff. Self-driving, why? Why do we need self-driving? I know, I've got an idea. Oh, an electric with no sound. Someone out there just said, let's take the fun out of driving altogether. We will have the cars drive themselves, so people can quite literally just sit there and do nothing, and we'll make them as quiet as a UFO. Brilliant. Car enthusiasts all over the world are going to absolutely hate the day that we have to go electric, because imagine how the world will sound when everything's electric. You're so used to hearing cars going down the road. You're so used to hearing exhaust. You're just used to hearing all these normal sounds from cars, and one day it will just be that light. I can't even explain it. The way I explain it is like a UFO, spaceship type noise. That's all we will hear. That's all we will hear. And I tell you what, it will be a very, very sad time. And let's not forget to mention how expensive these newer cars are as well. Why are they so expensive? They want us all to go electric. Have you seen the prices? You want me to go electric? I can barely afford my electric bill. I can barely afford a meal deal from Sainsbury's. There is no way I'm going to be able to just afford an electric car. So unless they're going to start giving them to people for free, getting us all to go electric, I could do a whole rant. I can do a whole new video on how I feel about electric cars. But honestly, I've forgotten my point here. I just don't like them. Now, before anyone takes it seriously, I can actually afford a Sainsbury's meal deal. But basically my point is that times are hard and the cost of living is just, without being negative, because we don't want to be negative, but let's be real, it's getting a lot harder for people. And, you know, as well as trying to save to get on the housing ladder, saving for a deposit, I mean, deposit demands are getting higher. You need at least, 25 grand for a deposit these days for a house. And even then, you struggle. So how they expect people to be able to afford these electric cars, I personally don't see how it's going to work. We got a bit off topic there talking about money, but let's move on. So I also find with older cars that parts are more accessible. I find it if you need your car repairing, parts are a lot easier to get for the older cars than they are for like the brand new cars, especially as everything's very advanced and you just basically rely on technology to diagnose fault. I mean, you don't look under the bonnet anymore, you don't check under the car anymore for faults. You plug something in and it just tells you where the fault is. That's basically the technology of cars these days. And because these newer cars use more advanced technology, it means your repair costs are usually a lot higher. So yeah, I feel like it's just very beneficial having an older car. I don't know if that must just be my own opinion. I maybe not old, but at least maybe pre-2021 maybe. I feel like it was a lot simpler and car faults were a lot easier. I've just heard so many issues with newer cars and the technology. People buying a car, it going wrong as soon as they got it. It's been in the garage for months and months and months. And they've just had an absolute headache with it. So don't get me wrong, mine is an older car, so I might be more prone to things going wrong. However, I feel like they might be simpler. They might be big, but they might be simpler. I also find the depreciation of these vehicles actually goes down a lot more with newer cars. So you'll buy like a much newer car, but it goes down in price basically as soon as that's standard anyway. You buy a car, you drive it off the forecourt, immediately you've got about 2.5 grand knocked off in depreciation. But I find with older cars, and I will use mine as an example, when I was looking for a Mk6, I did not realise how much value they actually still held. I was wondering why they were so expensive. They're near enough going for the same price as maybe an older version of the Mk6 Golf R. So, and these cars are 15 years old, so you would think, why on earth are they so expensive? But when you look into it and you discover the rarity of them, the fact that it's even rarer to find a UK model. Obviously mine is an import because I just struggled to find a UK model with decent mileage and hadn't been ragged about and highly modified. When you take all that into account, you can see that the vehicle that car in particular has held its value because of how rare it is. And that's what I love about it, is the rarity. Like, yes, I think it's worth paying more when it's more. I think it will be a collectible kind of car, you know, it's only going to get rarer. The more you look after it, the higher chance that you will actually hold that value in the car, if not make it more valuable. Not dramatically, obviously, because obviously the car is still only going to get older, the mileage is only going to go up, but yeah, I think with the fact that they are so rare, and again, to find one that's OEM and not been highly modified, it just means people are willing to pay more for that. But with the newer cars, I'm surprised when I see Mark 8 Golfs at the cost that they are. They're actually quite not cheap as such, but it's insane how much they are brand new compared to how much they are second hand when they're only like a year old. Another positive to owning older cars is if you ever go to a car event, you normally find they're full of the really, really new cars, and you almost feel like there's no personality to these newer cars. So you find you go to these events and it's all same old, all this high-end tech. But when you see those older classic cars, that's really, you find where people gravitate to more. Like, people will almost look a bit shocked, like, why is no one really paying attention to my car? It's brand new, it's got this, it's got that, it's got all the high-end technology. Why are they over there with that 20-year-old car when it looks all boring and probably hasn't even got Bluetooth? And it just, yeah, it goes to show that the car scene as a whole really has lost the true meaning of it, really. It's more about ego now than it is the actual love of cars, and the car enthusiasts out there really enjoying cars for what they are and not as a statement. So yeah, it's always good fun. I've taken my car to one event and it was just a small one. I'm not into car shows because of the reasons I just said. It's all about ego. So the event I took it to was actually an event that all the money went towards a charity. So that was lovely to be able to attend that. And yeah, again, we went there and actually I was surprised about how many old camper vans there were, and Mark 1, Mark 2 Golfs. I was expecting to go there and see loads of Mark 8s. I don't actually think, looking back now, I don't actually remember seeing a Mark 8 there. And it was a VW only show. It was just all classics, and it was great to see. It felt better. You could tell the people there really cared about their cars. I mean, these cars were really like years and years old and had immaculate paintwork. You could tell they'd been looked after. You can tell they're owned by real car enthusiasts. So yeah, it was a really, really lovely show, and I got to see my Scirocco there as well. Got a picture of them two together. So yeah, I would say when it comes to car events, it's always good to have a classic or an older car because you find that people do tend to appreciate them a lot more. Now, my car has been referenced as a sleeper before, meaning it's old, it's boring, it's probably not got much power. It would actually surprise you how much better the performance is on an older car than it is a newer car. You get in that car and you put your foot down and you tell me that that is not impressive. Hands down, much more impressive. I've driven a much newer car. I drove a Mark 8 Golf R, and I tell you what, when I say I wasn't impressed, I really was not impressed. I came out of that car and I had this expression on my face. It was so underwhelming. I was actually really excited. I thought, great, Mark 8 Golf R, this is going to be powerful. This is going to be mega. It was like driving. It was like, I can't put it into words. I'm just here like, ugh. But I can't put into words how boring it was to drive. It had no personality. Like the salesman was really trying to sell it to me. It was like, oh, you've got this space down here to put your phone, and it's got a built-in charging pad so it wirelessly charges your phone. And I almost just didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, that's cool. Whereas I'm used to there being like a cigarette lighter down there and something that holds your change, or I don't know, just somewhere that a little convenience bit where you can put your phone or whatever. And they've completely taken that out and just replaced it with a charging pad. And he was trying to show me all the different features on the touchscreen, and it didn't impress me. Not only that, the dashboard, right, I mixed emotions about digital dash. I know the 7s, the Mark 7s, or 7.5, whichever model it is, they introduced the digital dash. And I liked that touch because it still had the buttons. It was almost like the perfect mixture, but you had the digital dash. And I did think that looked pretty cool. But this Mark 8, everything was too advanced. The steering wheel even looks, in my opinion, it looks awful. It doesn't look sporty. It doesn't look sporty. I would actually say the inside of my car looks sportier, but it just has no personality to it. So I heard rumours they were going to be bringing back buttons, so I really hope that's true, because that would be, I think they would do a lot better with sales on cars if they introduced buttons back again. But anyway, we're getting off topic again. Now, the Mark 6 Golf R isn't just a car, but it's a statement for those who really appreciate driving dynamics. Basically, I'm here to persuade you to go and get one, because I might be biased. I am biased, but it's honestly such a joy to own this car. It is a joy when I drive this car. It puts a smile on my face. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It brings me a sense of just joy that I can't really explain. Now, I could literally go on forever rambling about cars because I absolutely love them. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I just wanted to make it a bit of a short one, but I wanted to get back more onto the topic of cars because, like I said, I want to have a bit of a mixture on my channel, and it was time for a car-themed one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you agree, disagree. I'm open to any opposing opinions that you guys might have. But yeah, any feedback, any engagement on this video, you know, if you like this sort of content, if you prefer different content, let me know, because it really helps me to create content for you guys, because essentially that's what I want to do. I want to keep building this community on YouTube and really get this channel flying. I've nearly hit 100 subscribers, which doesn't sound, it's not a lot, but to me, starting out, it means a lot to me. So yeah, I'm slowly getting there, and yeah, it means a lot. Anyone who has subscribed already, I really, really, really appreciate it. So yes, to wrap that up, I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will see you very soon.